Hello, I'm back. I'm joined by Terry. How are you doing, Terry?
Mate, the greatest teeth in all of boxing, man. You've won the title. Russ, you are pound for pound number one on the teeth scale, mate. Well done. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I went through it.
There are few people going to have to start changing their YouTube profiles, man. So Porky's missing teeth, man. That's all over now.
I heard no from him, mate. I heard no
Well,
from
I'm not surprised.
Don't miss him, mate. It'll be Porky's missing eyeballs next morning when John Fury gets me.
It'll be Porky's missing weight. That's what it's going to be.
Oh, well, I'm struggling on to keep weight on. There's a lot going on, Terry. In the last few weeks, obviously, I've been off for a week. I'm not really officially back tomorrow, but just been up to office to have a bit of a nosy about. I noticed people are plugging more of them electric cars in up there. I feel a bit left out, Terry.
Mate, well, by 2030, we'll all be doing that, right?
Yeah, I wonder if now's the time to act, because I'm talking to one of the managers up there. He's got a 66 plate BM2 series electric, and you get 12 and a half. He reckons it's worth more. So it's worth more than what he get for it. Is that it, a year?
Well, so if I remember correctly, there's such a shortage of chips at the moment that they can't build new cars. So Ford cut their marketing budget from $350 million to $50 million because they're like, we ain't got any cars to sell.
Yeah, they're any to floggers. They are. It's going to be interesting.
You might have to get into the used car game again, Porky, mate. I mean, this might be prime time for you.
I might do. At least it might pay me a little bit of a wage better than Porky's Corner, scratching and scraping.
Mate, yeah, start selling Golf R's, mate. Those cars they'll be the ones that people want, the Golf R.
Julian drives one of them, a Type R Golf, or whatever they call them, Golf R's.
Yeah, hell of a car.
Oh, mega quick. You want to start on Canelo one then, because it's fresh, and then we'll back up to Whyte. What do you think, Terry, to the old performance from Canelo? It was a bit different for him, wasn't it?
No. You know what is there saying, Donny, Porky? Sometimes your chickens come home to roost.
Yeah. They do, yeah.
So if you look at Canelo, you can remember this from when he was light middle or super welter, right? Back to 154. When he was fighting guys like Lara and Trout, we were complaining back then that he wasn't very active.
Yeah.
Right? And that was all right because he could overpower people eventually, right? But when you get to light heavyweight, you're not overpowering these guys because they're bigger than you. So you're the smaller guy. You're supposed to be more active. I don't think Canelo was active enough. And here's the thing that they should have sussed up from the beginning. Bivol does nothing when he goes backwards, right? For me, like when you're an elite boxer, Russ, you should be able to take a couple of steps back, throw an uppercut and a left hook, move off, right? That's what elite boxers do as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, when you're really like on that pound for pound list, Fury, Crawford, those sorts of guys, you can do that. Bivol can't do that. And after the first round, it was clear that Bivol wasn't going to do anything when he was going backwards. So Canelo's corner should have just said, stay on him. Don't take a step back. Don't wait for him. Double jab your way in and make him work. He's not going to like it. But I don't think Canelo at light heavyweight has the stamina. I think he's carrying too much body mass for him to be that effective for 180 seconds. And I think that was his downfall.
Yeah, he were a lot of arm shots as well, weren't there, really, from Canelo, did you think?
In terms of throwing from the arms or hitting the arms?
He was hitting Bivol's arms a lot, wasn't he?
But for me, that's okay, right? Because that's all part of those are legitimate targets. I'm less worried about that than the fact that he just didn't do enough. How many times did you watch that fight, Paul? And he was just kind of stood in the middle of the ring just looking.
I only watched it once. It were enough for me that once.
Yeah. So I thought there were two things. Number one, I think his balance is all wrong. And we're talking about Canelo, who'll probably go down in the Hall of Fame, but he's got into this bad habit, like I said, because he believes in his power so much, where he just keep all of his weight on his back leg. So when Bivol came forward, there was nowhere for Canelo to go. He couldn't shift his weight forward again to then go backwards. It felt amateurish the way they did it, like they hadn't prepared for Bivol.
Yeah. What next for Canelo then? Do you think it'll be a rematch, Terry?
Yeah, I think he wins the rematch if he makes the adjustments. So if he's more active, he just needs to be about 25% more active. And if he can push Bivol back for the whole fight, Bivol doesn't stand a chance for me because he's just not that good going backwards. If the same Canelo shows up, I don't think he can win.
Do you think it was hard to score, Terry?
I had it 115, 114.
You had it around. What about all these people that had it 9-3?
Do you know what it is with guys like that? I'm like, sit down with me, and for the whole 3 minutes of each round, talk me through where your head is at. Right? Because I think what happens is a lot of people will hear the bell go for the end of the round, and they'll go, yeah, that's Bivol 10-9, right? But if you really had to talk through the round and justify where your thinking was, I don't think you'd have that because. And an example is probably like, I'm trying to think of a really good round where I scored it for Canelo and a lot of people didn't. So let's just say round 3, for example. I don't know if people did, but round 3, Canelo started so strong. It didn't matter what Bivol did in the last 30 seconds, man. Canelo had 2.5 minutes where he was in control of a lot of the variables in that ring. You know, and it's the same with round 11 for me with Bivol, where I thought Canelo started really strong, and then Bivol took over the last 2 minutes of the round. And you say, okay, cool. And as the round's going on, I'm saying to myself, Canelo needs to do more here. He's not doing enough to win this round. And when you start going through it that way, you realize this fight was a little bit closer than people are saying. But I'm not upset. If you had it a draw, I'm not upset. If you had it 8-4 to Bivol, I'm not upset. You know, that's the kind of range it was. It just depended on what you liked.
What about the stick that the judges are getting for the first 4 rounds, Terry? What do you think to that?
So I'll tell you what I had for the first round. Round 1, Bivol. Round 2, Canelo. Round 3, Canelo. Round 4, Shed.
The judges had it 4-0 Canelo after 4, didn't they?
Which would mean you gave Canelo the first round, but he didn't do anything in the first round. So I find that strange.
I do, yeah. They were feeling each other out, weren't they, at first round, really? They were not really anything.
No. Look how quick Bivol got to 10 jabs. No, Bivol came straight out and let Canelo know today you're going to feel this jab.
Punches going in, not what the early doors, though, what they were like having a look at each other, weren't they?
Yeah, but I don't think Bivol really went in with the power shots in this fight. I think he just went, he had a plan. He said, if we can outwork Canelo, we'll win this. And they outworked him.
You think it was a similar performance to Carl Froch Abraham? A containing job kind of thing?
I don't think Froch is that intelligent. I think with Carl, he'll just out tough you, won't he? I think he wanted to prove he was tougher than Abraham. And he did it all off the jab, probably like Bivol did. But there's no finesse to what Carl does. And I know this is getting me banned from Nottingham saying this. There's no finesse to it. Carl just finds ways to win. I don't think McCracken's that tactical mastermind. But it was a good win.
But Bivol, he's 20-0 now and coming into his peak, isn't he now? And you'd have to say he's one of the main players now, wouldn't you?
He got 2 belts now?
2 belts. If Canelo don't fight him next, they're talking Beterbiev, aren't they? Beterbiev, whatever his name is. I can't pronounce it.
Beterbiev will smash him to pieces.
That
pity patty jab ain't gonna stop Beterbiev. Do you see what I mean? Like, you're gonna need some heavy artillery to keep Beterbiev off you.
Not queuing up for him, are they? Beterbiev, are they? Nobody seems to call him out, do they?
Because the thing is, because like, what's he now, 37, 38? He's an old man now. But he never relied on speed or anything like that. So he can still smash you to pieces.
He's like that guy out Fantastic Four, isn't he, that's made out of tarmac, isn't he? What's he called?
Not the Hulk, is it?
No, the guy in the Fantastic Four is not green. He's like an orangey red color, but he's not a human type. He's like, you know, what type of thing.
So the guy that does the Hulk smash.
Yeah, him. Yeah, but he's not green though. He's him kind of thing.
Yeah, but look, credit to Bivol, he won it. Like, I'm happy to say he won. I'm not going to be here saying I thought Canelo did enough to win. I don't think he did. But if I'm a light heavyweight now, if I'm Callum Smith, I'm like, give me Bivol. You see what I mean? Most of these guys, I'd be like, give me Bivol. As soon as I realize he can't box going backwards, I'm like, fuck me, yeah, all day, every day.
Do you feel, Terry, that people like Callum Smith, and to some degree, Beefy Smith, will feel that they could have done more looking at Bivol's performance? They could have had a better game plan, or what do you think?
Liam Smith, no. Canelo would have overpowered him easily. So he got what he got. Callum Smith had never been at that level before, had he? If we're being honest, he hadn't been at that level.
No.
So would he do better if he had a second go? Well, if you want to let if you want to let Callum Smith have a second go at Canelo, why not? I think it ends the same way. The guy who deserves a lot more credit, man, is Craig Richards.
Yeah, he'll look at his performance and think, do you know what? A few tweaks here and there, and he maybe could have beat Bivol, and there won't have been a Bivol Canelo, would there?
No, I think if Craig had set about him, and the thing with Bivol is you've just got to set about him. You no fear, no nervousness, just go, right, I'm going to push this guy back, and I'm just going to just club him. Yeah, from one side of the ring to the other. Because when Canelo was hitting him, he was moving Bivol. So the power wasn't the issue at that weight. It was just the lack of activity.
Do you feel that Craig Richards' lack of activity cost him as well, then, do you think?
Well, remember, they fought during the pandemic, right? So it was like an empty arena. You haven't got your home fans. You've got no support. And it's essentially like you're sparring, right? Like you're in the gym, and it was like a sparring session. And you're like, oh my God, this is Dimitri Bivol. And it took Craig a while to get warmed up and get confident and, believe in himself.
What do you think will happen if Canelo doesn't take the fight next?
He'll fight Golovkin, right? If he doesn't fight Bivol, he'll fight Golovkin next. But I think he will, because I think they'll watch it back and go, that guy's not all that. Canelo must be sat there going, I've beaten better guys before.
Inspiring.
Just historically, man. Like, he's beaten more talented people than Bivol.
He'll be kicking his son Canelo at losing that, won't he?
Yeah. His work rate's not where it needs to be.
Okay. What do you think to Hearn's comments afterwards and that? Do you think that it's a good thing that this has happened for him? Because he was more or less saying it's a good thing, wasn't he? But I can't see how that is. Can you?
No, I don't see how that's a good thing. Like that's someone speaking who's never had a fight in their life, man. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, well, you want to wake up the day after a fight going, damn, I lost. Like, let's think how long that's going to take to get over. You take a win over a loss every day.
Didn't he? Joshua Ruiz, he said it was a good thing and a positive thing, and they were glad it happened, and it gave him all the wake-up call, all that usual PR rubbish.
Okay. So that defeat was a wake-up call. Now look at him. He's training up in Loughborough with Angel Fernandez. I don't know what kind of wake-up call that is, but that doesn't feel like a wake-up call to me.
No, it doesn't, does it? You should be training as a challenger anyway when you're champion, shouldn't you, really? Cannelo's activated the rematch, so let's hope that it happens. But if we back up 7 months today, Anthony Joshua activated his rematch for Usyk. We still haven't got a date. Do you think that's going to happen, Terry?
So I think Ramadan's over now, right? We're into the second week post-Ramadan. He's probably seen where the body's at. I still think you're looking at end of June, early August, if it's going to happen. If not, September. But now I sound like I'm hedging my bets. I'd say tail end of July, early August.
Would you, yeah?
Yeah. Now, whether you do it in Saudi, I don't know, because Saudi would be unbelievably hot at that point. So I don't know where you do it, but I think that's the window to get it done.
Yeah. Do you feel it leaves a bad taste in the mouths of boxing fans if Joshua fights Usyk in Saudi, especially after having it at Tottenham's ground before? He's going back on road again, isn't he? And
I think at this point we've accepted that Joshua's just a business now.
Yeah,
He's just a business.
not legacy.
It's like Cirque du Soleil, right? He just travels around wherever the money is. And if you've got the money for it, you do it. If you don't, you don't.
Do you feel that Joshua makes a lot of noise, Terry, about legacy, but really it's about pound notes?
Yeah, so yeah, with him, it's always been about money. If it was about legacy, he'd have fought Wilder, he'd have fought Fury.
Mm. And them elephants are never going to go away, are they, from Joshua, are they, in the room?
No.
And when you go to Ruiz and people like that and Usyk, well, I'd put Usyk above Ruiz, but when you're losing to guys like that, what would Fury and Wilder have done to Joshua? They're just tee off.
Do you know what it's like for me, Russ? Do you know when you look at the Boxing Hall of Fame, right? And they do the heavyweight picture. You got Mike Tyson, Riddick Bowe, Evander Holyfield. Who's always in the middle of that photo?
Mike Tyson, isn't he?
Nope, Lennox.
Oh, Lennox, Tyson, all that.
No, Lennox stands right in the middle of that photograph because he knows no one can tell him anything. That's what happens when you fight all the best of your generation. Joshua can't do that. Can you imagine? Joshua right now can't do that. Fury and Wilder can stand next to each other at the front there and go, look, we're the guys in the middle. Joshua has to find somewhere to fit in.
If he doesn't fight Wilder or Fury, what do you think Joshua will go down as? He won't go down as a top 20 great, will he?
No, God, no.
I don't even put him in my top 50, to be honest.
Mate, I need to see your top 50 then.
I don't put him in my top 50. I've got a book here somewhere.
Mate, you got karate trousers on.
Go what?
Have you got karate trousers on?
Trousers?
Are they shorts?
No.
Okay.
Tennis shorts, aren't they? Got a book here, Bunty, give me it. 100, all top guys like Joe Louis and people like that.
Who's number 35?
Number 35.
Interactive TV.
Who's number 35? Lennox, isn't it? He's in top 5.
No, but who's number 35?
35. Oh. Not Harry Wild. Mike Tyson's in it, obviously. Marciano's in it. I don't know what numbers. Writing's a bit too small and I ain't got my bins, but I'll have a look. I'll have a look through. It's quite good, actually.
Josh has got to get in the top 50 though. Even I'm cruel, but not that cruel. He's got to get in the top 50.
It's not Bunces, it's Harry and Mullen, and I think it was actually somebody else give me it. Bunces give me a different one. What's this Bunces? What's this one? I've got a few. Look, everybody's top 50 is going to be different, aren't they? It's just that when I look at Anthony Joshua's resume, I see selected opponents, hand-picked guys. I don't see Joshua going into a fight where we're saying, do you know what? We don't know who's going to win this. The Usyk fight, that's the only one I think I've ever said that about. And the Vladimir one, I really thought Vladimir had a chance. Other than that, he's swerved everybody, hasn't he?
Well, no, he's only really swerved Wilder and Fury.
Well, Eddie Hearn said when they flew Wilder over for the Vladimir fight, this is April 2017. This is Deontay Wilder who've flown him in first class. He fights the winner. Well, that was over 5 years ago. And Wilder hadn't fought. He hadn't fought Vladimir or Joshua, has he? Do you know what I mean? It's
he hasn't done bad since then.
No, he hasn't done bad, and Wilder's piled a lot of money up, but Joshua hasn't done bad, yeah, but there's not. We need a defining win, don't we? We needed that Wilder or a Fury, didn't we, or somebody, or the next level down, with Joe Joyce or.
We needed a super fight.
A Yoker. I mean, what's going to happen? Yoker's fighting Martin McCauley, isn't it? And that's a good fight, isn't it, for him?
It's okay, but it's treading water. So, look, I said this in one of my podcasts. If you look at that Olympic squad just all the Olympics from 2016, right? Apart from Shakur Stevenson, they've all been a bit of a disappointment. Actually, put Lawrence Okolie in there as well. Shakur Stevenson and Lawrence Okolie are the only ones who have really stood out and were 6 years post-Olympics nearly.
Yeah.
Because normally you have an Olympic cycle to really become like a proper world champion, right?
Yeah.
Joshua won in 2012, did it in 2016. Shakur Stevenson, when did he win his belt? Was it last year or the year before? So you normally have a cycle to get it right. And you look at a lot of these guys, man, they're all flattering to deceive. I don't know why that is. I don't know if it was just a bad intake in 2016, but a lot of people are just flattering to deceive. And Joker's becoming one of them. Because I was high on Joker to begin with, but now I'm like, well, come on, let's get a move on.
He looks the part, doesn't he? Nobody seems to be bigging him up, do they, the Joker?
He hasn't given us that performance. Like Bacoli would be a good one where we can say, okay, you're above a certain level at this point. But he's just accumulating those kind of Bacoli, Takam type wins, isn't he? He's just accumulating that level of opponent where we're like, no. Now you got to fight like Joseph Parker.
Well, do you think Joker could mix it with Parker now?
Yeah.
Yeah, and Dylan, people like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where do you see Dylan going now? Obviously, he's just lost to Fury convincingly. What do you see happening with Dylan now?
Oh, it's a tricky one. So I can see them pushing him down the WBA route. If he stays with Hearn, I can see him going up the WBA route, and then you'll just hear talk about why can't Dubois fight, Dillian, Crossroads fight, and all of that. I can see that coming to fruition soon.
You feel that there's a few lessons can be learned from how Dillian conducted himself leading up to the Brick Top show? You think there's some lessons can be learned?
Or just do what's best for business. Like I feel, and I think you and I may have talked about this before, when we were privately. It took more effort to be stubborn than it did to just do what he had to do.
Yeah.
Like you think about this. You spent your whole career showing up for press conferences, showing up for press events. It's a routine you're used to. Now you're having to change everything just to be stubborn and make a point. Nah. From a performance perspective, it's not what I'd recommend anyone do.
Think it drained him all that, do you think?
Yeah.
Didn't he? You say he's had a long camp, he looked shattered, didn't he, early doors?
Yeah, do you know what? He looked like it just dawned on him what he signed up for. You know what it is, Russ? Don't they say that the gods destroy you by giving you everything you want?
Yeah.
And that's what they did. Like he looked like there was a point at the beginning of the fight where he's trying to take his own hat off, and I'm like, oh my god, like you can't even get your own hat off. You know, it didn't feel like they were prepared for that moment. Little things like that are worrying. Like everything should be slick. On fight day, nothing should be left to chance.
What did you think to the game plan for Dillian Whyte, Terry? Because
what was it?
He came out and he's trying to box southpaw. Tyson Fury must have thought all his besties have come at once, surely. He must have thought, well, this is easy for me here. And then he changed it back from that to, although I thought there were...
Do you remember? And I think this is one of the funniest moments in the fight. Dillian goes to throw a big, I don't know if it was a big right or big left, can't remember. And he's hit the rope. And Fury Fury's wrapped him up and just shouted out, nearly.
He hit belt buckle, didn't he?
Yeah. And I was like, Fury's just having fun in there. And you know what? He's just toying with it.
Yeah, and do you know what? Dylan has been getting angry and angry. Do you know Tyson, he fights loose, he don't force anything, does he? And he's like bordering on laughing all the way through, so he doesn't use nervous energy. He's got it off to a T, hasn't he, really, Tyson? He's a masterful boxer, isn't he? We have to give him credit.
Yeah, no, it's nice to see you being back on the Fury bandwagon, man. We've missed you, Russ.
I'm back on bandwagon. I'm just saying that, you know, when all said and done, we know what's gone on, why they all fell out, but this is how I look, and I've chose to side with whoever I've sided with. But point I want to make is he's a masterful boxer in this era, and nobody can take that away from him. When all said and done, it's Tyson that sells the show. He gets in the ring, and he has to be given credit. He is a masterful boxer, and he makes fun.
And he's not boring now. Remember when Eddie was like, he's boring?
He isn't now, is he? He's taking him out now, isn't he?
Mhm.
I think maybe that's maybe due to he's not up on his toes like he used to be, is he? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. He went through a period where his style was super conservative, and it didn't need to be.
I mean, you've got to remember that when he was training with Huey and they were with Peter, that Peter's big on repetition work and big on footwork and that massive. And I don't see that same footwork that he had when he was with Peter. I see a different style implemented, more of a hunter rather than a stay out of range type of guy. Do you know what I mean?
Well, but he's there going, I'm taller than everyone. So why am I backing up? And it's the right thing to do for me, because the less you back up, the less energy you use. That backing up style, having to use your legs a lot, especially for those bigger guys, man, it's draining.
Yeah. Well, he's obviously at best of his generation. And where does that leave Joshua now? He's got no belt. Dylan's got no belt. Is Joshua going to Sky? Is Dylan going to have a fight with a Bricktop fighter? Are him and Eddie still mates? It's all a bit confusing, isn't it, at the moment?
I found it interesting in Fight Week, Porks, that Eddie was talking about Canelo fighting Usyk for the belts. He didn't say fighting Joshua for the belts. He said, oh, yeah, I could see Canelo moving up to 201 pounds and fighting Usyk for all the belts.
Yeah, well, and Joshua was supposed to be fighting him and taking them belts off him. That doesn't seem.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
I mean, if he's activated that rematch clause for Usyk on October 7th, why have we got November, December, January, February, March, April, May? We're into the 8th month since then, and they're still not announced. They're dragging their heels on it, mate. Dragging their heels on it, aren't they? This Joshua Usyk fight. And don't be surprised if that fight don't happen and they go a different direction, because we're doing what's best for Anthony Joshua and we're in the Anthony Joshua business. But the flip side of the coin is DAZN and Sky could be going at it, couldn't they, about with Joshua about dates, couldn't they? And there's a grey area, isn't there, about the contract, isn't there, exactly what Joshua's entitled.
He hasn't got a contract.
Well, whatever it is, and they give him dates or something at Sky or something.
What? Well, he does. Has he re-signed with Sky?
Well, I'm hearing that he's supposed to re-sign him for Sky and all this. This is what I'm hearing.
I don't think any of this is done. I think it's all just a mess at the moment, and I don't think the Ukraine conflict's helping either. So, hey, and this is what happens when you drag your feet on having these big fights. Now Joshua's there going, I'm getting older and I'm running out of time, because what was it, since he lost to Ruiz, he's had 5 fights, right? If you include that, Ruiz twice. That's what? No, is it 4? No, it's 4. Ruiz twice, Pulev, Usyk.
That's it. He's not really beat anybody, has he, since Vladimir?
No.
And Vladimir's over 5 years ago now.
Yeah, and as you say, Porky, 2 year and a half on the settee.
Yeah, year and a half on the settee. And what's Joshua been doing for half a decade? He's been doing now. All they've been doing is promising us Wilder, promising us Fury. It would have done deal, wasn't it? Didn't Daniel Kinahan
get up there, my boy?
Get up there, my boy. Do you know what I mean? You know what I mean? So I don't know what all that's about, mate. But yeah. So I'm just wondering where we're all going with the Joshua Express train.
I think we have to just say his career has been a bit of a letdown.
Just a little bit, isn't it? Yeah, just a little bit. Do you think Billy Joe's going to come back?
Does he have to?
Not really.
What would he be coming back for?
To avenge his loss to Canelo.
No chance. No chance. I can only see him coming back to fight Eubank Jr. That's the only fight I can see happening.
Okay. All right, then. Well, we'll finish off on the main talking point that nobody seems to be addressing, but we've addressed it. The MTK story, it's the biggest in sport, according to people in the magazine industry, in the sports magazine industry. And people are saying that there's like a wall, there's a wall of silence. If it were football, it wouldn't be like this. But the boxing media, do you think they all need to hold their heads in shame? Because they've all took the free gratis, haven't they? And now nobody wants to talk about it, do they, Terry?
You kill me. I love that. That free gratis thing bends me over every time. I love it. Right, this is a serious topic, so I shouldn't laugh. Look, I would suspect what's happening right now, Porky's at Sky. Someone's having to come in and do an audit and go, what is our connection to this? You know, they tried to issue a statement saying Macklin has nothing to do with this. And you're like, well, his name's on the damn company, which means he's got nothing to do with this. Do you know what I mean? Like, what do you mean he's got nothing to do with it? So Sky have to go through everything, and they need to go, who approved Macklin for a start? Number two, do we need to look at everyone who's on this payroll and say, what is your connection to this? Have you been seen in Dubai? Have you been in Dubai with, you know, some of the people you shouldn't be around? Because, and this won't come from Sky, by the way, Russ. This will come from Comcast, because the US Treasury will just go straight to Comcast and go, you need to look at these characters. So I have a feeling that the reason Sky being quiet at the moment is they're trying to work out what their exposure is. And I don't think it's good, if I'm being honest with you.
Do you think Sky will let Macklin go?
It's problematic if he stays.
He's going in, and they're not. He can't get to America now, can he? Macklin apparently has been refused a visa, hasn't he?
No,
So
couldn't leave the country to go to America.
Somebody's talking, aren't they already? Aren't there's a squealer in the whole setup, isn't there? It's a route to the mountain.
Yeah, I think that. Look, you all word this carefully because it's not right to label people as grasses, but
yeah,
that's the whole aim of this thing. This is to make business so uncomfortable for everyone that they just go, actually, we're better off without him. Yeah. And so someone will tell.
Yeah, and do you feel that, you know, since the Treasury came out, have you noticed how Aram and everybody else all distance themselves? They've gone from saying things like he's a great guy, and I mean some of the things Sam Jones come out with, and you know, when people are giving you things, it's like, for example, people can start looking after you and being right with you, and it could be a really bad guy. You can say, no, he's sound, because if that person's looking after you individually, you only see the good in him, don't you? But catches up with him, doesn't it?
The only way I ever do that is if I grew up with you. Like, if I grew up with someone, whatever they go on and do in life, I always just say honestly, look, we were kids that played football together.
Yeah.
That's the relationship. Like, with all these other people, I'm like, but it comes down to the thing, and here's the problem in boxing. I'm going to break it down like this, Russ. Boxing's a sport that's male-dominated, but is really dominated by feminine energy. You don't believe me? Look at the comment section that comes after this video. Read the comments, and they could be written by women. Most of that stuff could just be written by women.
Yeah.
In fact, I don't even think so. I think women have more integrity. Sorry, so apologies to the ladies out there. I think women have more integrity. These are written by the guys who, if we were like a troop of baboons, right? These would be the guys that never got to mate. They just run around making noise, eating bananas and whatnot. And there's a lot of that. So when you get a chance to be around like a gangster, you jump at it because now you look tough to your mates. You look interesting to women. You look relevant, right? And a lot of guys jumped on this. And it's what those guys prey upon. That's how it's easy. So look, I'm going to be Porky Russ for a second. Question one, who let you into the sport? Let's start with that. Who let you in? Because if it was Macklin, he can't be at Sky anymore. Just for that.
Macklin, wasn't it? Macklin was making the noise. He set the company up, and Kinahan bought into it, didn't he?
Yeah, remember Kinahan was in the corner for the Golovkin fight.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going.
And that was on Sky. It's very hard for Sky to distance himself from Kinahan when he's been part of the journey.
When MGM Grand, Mickey Fio, he's got a place out there in Marbella, and he used to go out there and train out there. And Kinahan were out there, and Jim, they even had a spar and that. And it were Mick were telling me it were MGM Grand in them days. Do you know what I mean? When it first started out, MGM or something. But they had to change.
Yeah, it's just MGM.
The casino served papers on them through lawyers, didn't they? They made them change it, didn't they?
Yeah.
I changed it to some. I forget what they changed it to now.
MTK, Mac the Knife.
Yeah, and then they changed it to MTK Global, didn't they, or something? Yeah. But,
yeah. So so there are two things that are going to be of concern, and this is when the Brown stuff will hit the fan. If it turns out it's been money that's been flowing through boxing, I think that's problematic enough. If it turns out that people in boxing have been taking drugs as well, as part of either as a business deal or as a payment, then it's going to be problematic. But you ought to leave that to the authorities. I've heard enough to know that this is an absolute mess. Porky's an absolute mess. And if everything that was known came out in public, they'd have to stop boxing for a year while they cleaned it up. So you'll know that if this stuff doesn't come out in public, people are telling tales. Because it's easier to find the people not involved.
Do you feel that a lot of people that were taking money, you know, like companies that were dealing with these people, do you think a lot of people knew that it were drug money, but they weren't bothered? They would just want to take it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
It was dressed up as corporation money, wasn't it?
So here's what ends up happening in these situations. The guy at the top will eventually get caught and he'll go down, right? Everyone else will just get pressure on them and they'll turn and work as informants. They'll be informants forever. They'll be allowed to carry on as normal. They'll be informants. Even the people you guys consider to be heroes and gangsters and stand-up guys will turn out to be informants. Most people involved in crime are grassers because it's cheaper and more lucrative to grass than it is to graft. Right? You know, what are the police paying now, Russ? Is it $1,000 per kilo seized to the grass?
I don't know, mate. I won't know, mate.
Yeah. So if the police, sometimes if the police, is it $1,000 a kilo or $1,000 per ton? That'd be $1,000 per ton. And so let's say you find 250 tons of cocaine, just making up numbers here.
Tell me where it is.
Mate, you do that in half an hour.
Dive in.
So actually snitching is just so lucrative now that it's worth your while. And then you get to carry on your business on the side as well.
Do you think there'll be anybody who'll go to jail over all this? Do you think there'll be a patsy?
The people who've been named, the 7 people, it'll either be one of them or all of them that will go in. That'll be it. No one else. Because if you took up the whole organization, it would destabilize everything. You know you know how it happens. You just have gun battles everywhere when people try and fill the void. So they'll want to manage the stability somehow. So they'll take them off slowly.
I mean, somebody asked me the other day, what question would you like? So I said, I want to see, you know, people with access like IFL and people like that ask certain questions. And so some guy said, well, what question would you ask? I said, well, I'd like somebody to ask people like Sam Jones to ask them, did they know what they were getting involved in? And, you know, and did they realize that these people were crooks and all that? And I'd like to see
why Sam Jones though, Porky?
Well, he in the thick of it all. You know
who's in the thick of it all.
Yeah, but
you know we can't talk about that, but you know who's in the thick.